It's a pleasure to be here, guys. So thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to having a nice chat with you and doing a quick little presentation on how you can increase your happiness when the world is in lockdown. I think there's been a lot about managing your stress and how to work better when you're at home. But what I kind of wanted to cover today is just some little hints and tips that are all about happiness, just increasing those happiness levels. But remembering also that, looking at your happiness levels and stress management isn't just a COVID-19 thing. This is a life thing. So some of these things take time. It's very personal. But really, we should be making those changes right now for life, really, to make us more sustainable as event managers as well. So I'm going to flick over to my presentation on my slides. Right, okay, so we're basically going to start off with, what is happiness? The Dalai Lama quotes that happiness is not something ready-made, it comes through your own actions. Basically what he means by that really is that happiness is a choice that you can make. It doesn't come to you. It won't be naturally given to you. You can decide to be happy or you can decide to not be happy. You have control over your happiness. And happiness is that feeling that comes over you when you know life is good and you can't help but smile. It's the opposite of sadness. Happiness is a sense of well-being, joy or contentment. When people feel they're successful or safe or lucky, they feel happiness. Happiness basically means well-being. It's always good and it's always a choice. We need to make the choice to be happy in a particular situation. This situation that we're in just now. And at any given moment. Most of us spend more time working than we do engaged in any other activity other than sleeping. It's in a world where people are already struggling with trying not to take work home with them, to try and maintain some kind of life-work balance, to suddenly find ourselves now trying to do our work in our homes during this lockdown period can be challenging. Okay. So finding ways to be happier during this period will not only lead to better mental health, but it can also increase your productivity at home and help you establish healthy boundaries. And healthy boundaries are what are really important for good mental health and well-being. Developing habits as well to get your workday off to the right start and planning your week is one way of cultivating happiness. So let's go through some of these habits. First one off is have a nightly routine. So nothing gets your morning off on the wrong foot like rushing around. Okay, skipping breakfast, discovering the top you want to wear for a Zoom call is in the wash basket, the linen basket, all things that can throw your morning into chaos. The same as you would prepare yourself to go into the office, prepare yourself the night before for working at home. So take the time to organise what you need for the next day, what you'll wear, what you'll have for your lunch. You can even prepare your lunch. This all allows you to start your day centered, grounded, organised, and with everything you need. The routine you set in place will depend on who you are in the house with and what the needs of your family are. So planning your day around that as well will help manage your happiness. You can even create your own personal launch pad space. So if that's at your desk, pile up everything that you need for the next day so it's organised. If you've got scripts for Zoom calls or agendas for team meetings, have that all ready in a little pile so you're not having to try and find information from different areas. Okay, have everything waiting for you. So that's more on having a nightly routine. The next one is reserving 8 hours for sleep. Sleep is really, really important. Sleep deprivation is bad for our mental, emotional, and physical health. I myself, just from my personal experience, I manage bipolar disorder. I've had it since I was 16. One of the things I notice in terms of my bipolar is if I don't get a really, really good night's sleep, or if I don't reserve that time for my sleep, I can be less than happy the day after. I'm irritable, I can be narky, short-tempered. So sleep for me is really important, but sleep for all of us is really important. It's hard for you to feel productive, happy, and positive when you're exhausted. Make sure you reserve 8 hours of quality and restorative sleep per night. It's one step you can take to prepare yourself to be happier and healthier. Many of us, especially event professionals, are used to running on just a few hours of sleep or getting sleep that isn't truly restful. There are a few steps you can take to ensure that you get the best night's sleep possible and wake up ready to face the day with a positive attitude. Not like me if I haven't had sleep in an arky attitude. You don't want to be around me when I'm in an arky attitude. Okay. So go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, including your weekends. Have a nightly routine that prepares you for bed and triggers off that sleep process. So it can be a shower or a bath. Use some Epsom salts as well in the bath, your bedtime bath. Epsom salt has magnesium content, which is really, really great for promoting restorative sleep. Brushing your teeth, do a meditation. You can do some stretches, read a book, but try and follow the same routine every night, so it will trigger that sleep process. Put away your electronic devices at least an hour before you go to sleep, and also make your bedroom a haven to sleep. Sleep or sex should be the only two things you're doing in your bedroom. We shouldn't be doing anything else in our bedrooms, and make you really, really go overboard and treat yourself in terms of your room. So nice blackout blinds, not too hot, not too cold, room temperature about 18, 19 degrees is good. Really, really nice sheets, comfortable pillows. Really go all out as much as you can to make that bed as comfortable as possible and to make it a haven for sleep. Okay. Next step, wake up early enough for some me time in the morning, okay? So getting enough sleep is important, but waking up early enough so that you have time to transition into your day can also help foster happiness. And you can do this easily at home. If you're one that usually hits the ground running in the morning and launch straight into work, you're actually kick-starting your day and kicking off your day with anxiety. Waking up even just 15 minutes earlier so that you can have some me time to help you ease into the day with a sense of centeredness rather than a sense of panic. Some people like to wake up very early and have an hour or more of me time, while others just need 10-15 minutes just to linger over a cup of coffee or tea before starting your day. Figure out which works best for you, but use that time that you would normally be using for commuting to get to the office. Use it to do some things for you. You time is really important for happiness. So you can read a passage in a book that you're enjoying, do a meditation, do some light stretching or yoga, take some time over your coffee and breakfast, don't rush it, and spend time stroking your pet or playing with your children. Spend that time doing something you enjoy, and it will kickstart you in the right mood. It's important you don't use that me time to get a head start on your day though. So definitely don't check emails, don't check your voicemail. Reserve that time in the morning purely for you. Okay. Create a workspace that makes you happy. Next step. So no matter what steps we make towards happiness, if your workspace is uninspiring or depressing, it can bring us down. And you can do this when you get back to work as well. There are many simple steps you can take to create a workspace that promotes happiness. Personalize your workspace and make it part of your happiness plan. You can do that really by clearing the clutter. Clear the clutter away from your desk, anything that's unnecessary or distracting. Keep inspirational items and things that make you smile on your desk. Bring in some personal touches, which should be easy to do at home. Things that make you smile, photo of a loved one, reserve a favourite coffee mug. Awards you've received, have those on your desk. Anything that's going to inspire you during the day. Use a happy notepad and pen. Invest in notebooks that motivate you and inspire you. Take the time to make your workspace reflect you and your personality as an investment in your happiness. Add some green. Biophilia. I don't know if you've heard this word before, but if it's a new one that I'm teaching you this afternoon. It basically means a love of nature, and it's our human innate focus and attraction to nature and natural processes. It is a thing. It suggests that we all have a genetic connection to the natural world that's built up over thousands of years. Green is also a colour of happiness. Plants bring life to a space, and in Feng Shui, they are thought to bring positive energy to a room. It can be a live plant, which will also create oxygen, which contributes to your overall well-being, or silk plants work just as well. And to add a touch of life and green to your workspace. and promote happiness. Works in the same way. Okay. Another way to promote happiness is to use a daily affirmation. So as one way to start your day on a positive note, and to focus on your positivity throughout the day, is to use a daily affirmation. Affirmations are simple positive statements that you repeat throughout the day, either mentally or out loud. And a simple one could be, today is going to be a great day. You can see there's some quotes and affirmations are coming up on the screen as I'm talking through this. So you can use some of these as inspiration. You can write your own affirmation, or you can use ones written by other people. You can choose a new affirmation every morning, or once a week, once a month, and use it every day. An affirmation gives you something to focus on when you're tempted to drift into negative thinking, or you're faced with other people's negative attitudes. You can print it off and display it on your workspace or somewhere visible. Okay, next tip is to limit your negative interactions. This is another way to keep yourself focused on the positive, is limiting those negative interactions, as well as the media that you consume. The news and media at the moment, for obvious reasons, is full of negative, depressing stories, and that's because of the situation we're in. And unfortunately, happy doesn't sell newspapers or make the news these days. It also doesn't promote likes or retweets on social media, unfortunately. So it's really important to limit our interactions with this as much as possible. Try and keep watching the news for the 6 o'clock daily update that comes from the Prime Minister's office. So you're aware of everything that's happening and going on, and that's all you need. Try and limit, definitely try and avoid the 10 o'clock news. Try and avoid any kind of negative interactions like that from the news definitely before going to bed as well, because you want to be going to bed in a positive frame of mind. So try and limit the number of newspapers you're reading, limit your social media intake as much as possible. The same also applies though to negative interactions with people. So avoiding office and team gossip is another way to limit negative interactions. It can be tempting to vent and join in when others complain, but all this does is bring negativity to your day. So try and limit that as much as possible. It's understandable to want to vent frustrations, particularly at the moment, but if possible, you should find a way to turn this into a positive interaction. If there are people in your team that you work with who are consistently negative, or people you know who are consistently negative, and with whom you don't really want to interact, then keep your interactions with them professional, pleasant, but brief. Choose to surround yourself with positive people and interact with these people as much as possible. Exercise is the next tip, and this is all about releasing the happy hormone. So studies and research show that exercise is one way to release serotonin, which is our happy and feel-good hormone. Healthy levels of serotonin protect us from developing mental health illnesses such as depression or anxiety. HIIT, yoga, Pilates, whatever you like, running, cycling, remember to find the ways that work for you. All you need is 30 minutes moderate exercise a day, or 3 to 4 15-minute high-intensity exercises a week. There are lots of exercise classes you can do at home, and so much choice on YouTube that will motivate and inspire you. You can also get yourself outside in nature, spend time in your garden and exercise there, walks in a nearby park. Remember biophilia and our need as humans to be outside in nature and the benefits this has for our health and well-being. Whatever you choose, exercising regularly makes us happier, more resilient, and more productive. You will benefit from greater physical and mental health that results from exercise. Next tip for happiness is protecting your downtime. One of the most important boundaries that we can create around work, especially at the moment when work is at home, is around our downtime. Often we find ourselves working through lunch, answering emails on a weekend, working later to finish one more thing, or going without a break all day. This can breed exhaustion, resentment, burnout, especially when we're in stressful situations. Learn to protect your downtime. Make yourself take a full lunch. Make sure you're taking 5-minute breathers between projects or every hour. Let your team members and clients know when you check your emails, or that you only check your emails a set number of times a day. Put it in your out of office. I do, and it works wonders. So everybody who contacts me by email knows when I'm working, knows when I'm checking emails, and knows when my downtime is. So I actually have on my out of office when I have family time. So people know she's with her family, she's in a downtime, we don't want to disturb her. It works. So have a think about putting that in there. Be firm, be clear, be polite about the fact that you're protecting your time so that you can better serve your clients' and colleagues' needs and look after your own. Taking breaks makes you more productive and creative, not the opposite. Allow your brain time to refresh and regenerate. It will benefit your mental well-being and your resilience in the long term, and your happiness. Next one, choose to be happy. I said at the beginning that happiness is a choice. Ultimately, the most important thing we can do to promote happiness is to choose to be happy. When we're all facing difficult days and a difficult situation at the moment, and that's every one of us in the events industry, in fact, every one of us globally, we're all in this situation together. But we have a choice in terms of how we react to it. We can choose to be miserable and stressed, or we can choose to be happy. By practicing positivity and choosing happiness, we go a long way to fostering happiness and contentment, not just in our work lives, but in our whole lives. Do one thing every day that makes you happy. Taking the time each day to do one thing you love, enjoy, goes a long way towards fostering happiness. Whether that's yoga in the morning or playing a musical instrument. I play the flute, and I love playing the flute. I have loved music since I was out of nappies, I suppose. Drinking a cup of your favourite tea, creative hobby, gardening, drawing, finding something you love and making time for it is key for your well-being and happiness. Finding something you're good at outside of work that you can channel your creative passion into helps you find balance. It's really important for event professionals where we're passionate, creative people. We're always on the go. You'll find that happens when you're a creative person. So finding something outside of your work as an event professional that you can channel some of that positive creativity into it will really help you find balance. When we don't have time to do the things we love, our life becomes a series of obligations. So taking time to engage in something you love and enjoy activates parts of the brain associated with joy and pleasure. And this gives us an overall sense of mental and emotional well-being. So that's my top tips. Now we'll go into questions, see if anybody's got any questions. Shall we have a look?
Thank you. Yeah, it's really great that you've been able to touch on so many things, and I was busy scribbling down notes as well, and really recognise that there are so many things that we can do to really support our well-being and to support our health at this time, and I think it can seem overwhelming to some people if they're just sort of starting from the beginning, because I think lockdown happened a few weeks ago. Everybody just thought, it's just going to be 3 weeks and then we'll get back to work, we'll get back to normal. And I hear every day everyone saying when this is over and when we're back to normal. But I don't think, looking at it, there is going to be any normal, and social distancing measures are probably going to be in place for quite some time, not necessarily in the form of lockdown. And that obviously does have a big impact on, the events industry that we're both part of, but on many other industries as well. And so I think we're now seeing that people are getting into a stage where they're saying, okay, well, what positive things can I do on a daily basis? If I'm kind of starting at the beginning and I'm going to start with one or two things, what are those that I can be doing? And so I think the headlines and the overview that you've given is if people want to go away and investigate them a bit more, so they want to know more about sleep, or they want to know more about gratitude, or they want to know more about nutrition, or exercise, and all those things, then I think it's really great that you've given some really clear kind of things that you can do that will help improve people's well-being. And I loved your phrase, choosing to be happy. And I definitely agree with that. That's something that I've worked really hard on myself over the last probably few years, is that I realised that happiness is not something that somebody gives to you or that somebody makes you feel. Happiness is a choice that comes from within, and it's a choice about how you engage with other people and how you react to situations, and whether you look at it with a positive slant or a negative slant. And so I think that it is something that's very, very difficult, and people shouldn't be too tough on themselves, but I think it's a really, really nice place to start. So thank you very much for sharing all of that. We've had a question in and I think everybody agrees that, particularly this week, as the children have gone back to school, the stress levels have gone off the scale. And you and I were chatting about this just before we started this event. Helen has got a 3-year-old, and I have got a 6 and 7-year-old. And I think, and we're all part of WhatsApp groups, as I'm sure all the other parents on this event this afternoon. And I think it's fair to say that everybody has lost their minds after day 1 and day 2 of homeschooling. Recognising we are not teachers, we are professionals in another field. And it's like saying I guess it's like saying to a school teacher, okay, you go and be a stockbroker in the city and you've got to manage this whole team. Right, off you go, and I'm going to send you a few PowerPoint slides, and off you go. And it sort of feels like we've all been thrust into this world that we're not familiar with, and combination of being stuck at home, you're in cities and you don't have access to outside space, again, very, very difficult as well. So I think that the messages are coming through that to say, yes, getting a routine is probably something that'll really help. So
so planning your week, it's the same as I was saying. So planning your day, planning your week, that will really help you kind of find some organisation in the chaos. It's kind of a way. It's all about planning and setting a schedule in, but being flexible with it as well. Particularly if you have kids, you have to have some flexibility in there as well, because there's going to be days, because they're going through this with us as well at the same time, you know, and they have emotions and feelings and mental health and physical health the same as we do. And for them, it's even more difficult for kids, because they don't understand why they can't be with their friends. They don't understand why they can't be at school. My 3-year-old is finding it very difficult, because she wants to play, and that's what children want to do. So we should allow them. But you've got, I think as a parent, if you're a parent, you've got your kids at home, cut yourself a bit of slack. You know, you're not a teacher. You work in the events industry, and you plan events and stuff. You don't know. You probably don't remember trigonometry and all this kind of stuff from when you were at school. I can't remember half the stuff I was taught at school, but you're not supposed to remember all of it. It's supposed to set you with foundations to go on and do whatever you do in your careers. So cut yourself a bit of slack. You know, this isn't forever. Your kids aren't going to fall behind too much. The teachers will pick this up in September. That's their job. That's what they do. They're the professionals. So they're getting themselves ready and preparing themselves ready to get kids back where they need to be in September. So, you know, go easy on, be kind to yourself. That's really important for happiness as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think it is absolutely cutting ourselves some slack and just saying, okay, I can do what I can do today, and that is getting through to the end of the day, and everybody is safe and well and in a good frame of mind. Then whether they've learned something from the curriculum or not, it's not essential. And I think schools are also being very forgiving with that as well. I think the school where my children are at, they're sort of like, you know, if you can to keep your children engaged, keep them engaged. But there are loads of online resources, and there are loads of kind of, we don't necessarily want our children to be in front of screens and all those kind of things. But, you know, even just getting them doing drawings or thinking about things, or, you know, we've all of a sudden started doing more board games and things like that at home, which, you know, that's good for their maths. I've got a deck of cards, and sometimes I just sit there and we play 21, and I'm getting them to add up their they only have to add up to 21 each time, but it's quite good for their maths. And
brilliant.
It's looking and trying to think, well, if I'm not giving them a formal education, actually that doesn't matter. Are there little tricks and games that I can do that maybe support that? So I think that you're absolutely right. That helps relieve the anxiety that one is feeling, that we've got to hold all of this in, and we've got to manage it.
The best thing you can do for your kids at the moment, that your kids need the emotional support, you know, that teachers and other people can't give them, and they'll only get that love and safety and security and emotional support from their parents and from their family. So that's the only thing really you need to be concentrating on. too much. The rest of the stuff, do you know what? As I said, I'll get picked up in September. It doesn't matter. Give your kids those hugs and those kisses, and tell them you love them and that it's going to be okay. Make sure that you're that safety net that they need. That's what they need from their parents right now.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and it is a really difficult time that we're all going through now. So thank you very much again for coming on and giving us all of those tips. I don't know if anybody else has got any questions, or if there's anything else that you would like to ask or comments that would come through. So again, just feel free to pop them in the chat. I think you've given us some really great tips in terms of getting a night routine, if people are working, getting a space organised for work. And I really love the idea of again bringing plants in. That's really nice as well. And I think just to talk around the news, you talked about limiting your news intake, and I think that possibly can also extend to things like social media as well. We all know that Instagram is often described as this vanilla effect, and that everybody's presenting their best life all the time. And we still see a lot of that going on right now, where people are some people are very motivated to kind of keep going and sort of doing everything that they do and sort of soldiering on through. And I think there's a lot of people that I know have just come off social media because they're like, I just can't cope with it. It's too much. And I it's sort of my reaction to that is then I can't keep up with their pace. I can't keep pace with what they're doing. And so I think people are feeling that they're underachieving, and that's then putting them into a negative spiral that, oh gosh, everybody's keeping going with everything and I can't. So I think again it's just remembering that we all react in different ways, and it's okay to be kind and gentle with ourselves, and recognize that not everybody is presenting a best life on Instagram, and if they are, it's not necessarily true either. So
no, and that's the attitude that you've got to have when you go on social media. I mean, I took a conscious decision 12 months ago to come off social media from a personal perspective. So I don't share personal things on social media at all. I use it for work. And that's the only reason I'm on social media. If it wasn't for work, it wasn't the fact that I'm a marketing communications manager, I wouldn't be on it at all, to be honest with you. Because I think on one hand, as a communications method and communications channel, it's a brilliant thing in terms of connecting us globally and the things that it's done. But it also has an evil, it's a side that it has that really bad angle of it, to the fact that the online bullying, and there was elements of it that people talking on the TV this morning about how that's increased, and that's mainly because people's stress levels and intolerance. When you're stressed and you're finding things difficult, you tend to be more antsy and a little bit more like a keyboard warrior. So there's a lot more of that happening at the moment. So try and avoid it as much as possible. But there is also the veneer effect. So it's the life aesthetic, isn't it, kind of stuff. And I think this is one of the things that lockdown has taught us is, our nice car that's been parked out for 4 weeks and only gets driven to go to the supermarket now. We can't use it. We can't go anywhere in it. Then the house, posh, expensive handbags and clothes and all of that kind of stuff. Do you know what? None of it actually really matters. What really matters is our health, our well-being, our relationships with people, that human contact that we need so much, that just human touch. When we're born, the first of our senses that comes into play is touch. That's the first thing you have as a baby. You can't really see or smell or taste or anything like that yet, but you can touch. And that's the first of our senses, and it's so important to us. But it's part of our subconscious. We don't think of it too much. So when we're in a situation where, luckily I'm with my husband and my little girl, so I still get that touch. But there's an awful lot of us who are isolated and on their own, and they don't have that at the moment. And it's those people that I worry about as a mental health and well-being professional and influencer. It's those people that I worry about. So as much as possible, it's remembering the stuff that is important. And it's that human connection. It's our friends, it's our family, the people that we love. It doesn't matter, you don't have to go in the office now. I think we've all proved that we can work from home. We can all work flexibly. That's fine now. Work is important because something's got to pay the bills. but it shouldn't be the thing that rules your life. And I think people understand that now, because they've had that element of their friends and family kind of been taken away from them, really. And it teaches you how important your health and well-being is. And this goes far more reaching than just washing your hands and keeping those clean and sneezing into a tissue kind of stuff. We're talking seriously about mental health, emotional health, our spirituality as well as people, our sense of purpose, our sense of direction, the stuff that gets us out of bed in the morning. That's all been put at risk at the moment. So it's really important that one of the things we do now is start making these. I mean, there's a whole, I could have given hundreds more tips in terms of investing in happiness, and we could have been here all day with me giving a tip every 5 minutes in terms of what you can be doing. But the most important thing is people can be actually looking at what they do now to maintain their well-being, mental health for the long run, for their lives. Well-being and mental health is not a quick fix. It's about, you have to develop habits, and you're talking about changing the way that we've done things for a long time and establishing a habit so it becomes part of your subconscious, and the same as all your other habits, takes time. So the key about all of this is taking small things one bit at a time. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Be easy and kind to yourself as well. You don't want to be building up your stress levels while you're trying to improve your well-being. So take each week, just do one thing, one small thing different. Week after, add something else on, and so on and so on, or however it takes you. But, you know, well-being and mental health is personal. We're all individuals. We're not robots. We didn't come out of the factory, although it might seem like that sometimes. But we didn't. We're individual. We've got our own personalities. We've got our own desires and wants and levels of spirituality in terms of our needs. So it's, you know, do what works for you. Find those things that work for you. It's finding those little nuggets that really, really will bring you back to centre and ground you and give you that overall sense of safety, happiness, contentment. And that is mental health. That is well-being.
I completely agree with all of that. And Nicola has said on the chat that, again, surrounding yourself with positive people and reducing negative intake is really great advice. So I think you're absolutely right, and it's small steps. And I think that, you know, there are many people out there that sort of say, oh, I'm never going to be happy, or I don't know how to get to happiness, or I don't know how to achieve happiness. It feels like it's something that is way beyond, you know, where I am. And so I think it's the little steps that you're saying, just one thing every day, one tiny thing. And whether that's, you say, today I'm doing some affirmations and gratitude, and I'm going to say, today I'm grateful for the weather that we've been having. And even if you just do one thing a day and then you gradually build up, it's not saying overnight I'm going to click my fingers and everything's going to be all right again, because genuinely for lots of people it's not. And there are many professional organizations out there, and I know that on your website there's a whole host of information to support everybody there. So, you know, for anyone that really is feeling like they need some extra guidance and assistance, then, you know, Helen and everything, all the work that she does through EventWell, there are lots and lots of resources there to you. We obviously, in Motivation and Isolation, we're running some events, webinars, workshops, all sorts of things over the next few weeks, and we'll keep going with these as long as we can do, until kind of lockdown's lifted and things start to change. So we're addressing things like nutrition and sleep and anxiety, and again, this session has been recorded. We'll be sharing the slides, and the same for all of our previous sessions. So we're trying to make all of these things available to really support everybody, and when we recognise that we're all in this together. So I'd really like to say really big thank you very much to Helen for coming on today, and for anyone who's missed it, we are going to be sharing all of this, so we will email the video out. We'll give it a little quick edit and tidy up, and then we'll send it out along with the slides. So I think, you know, again, for anyone who wants to get in touch with Helen, you can Google EventWell, find them there, and we'll be sharing contact details as well. So again, lots and lots of resources on there to support you all. So from all of the people saying thank you on chat, thank you to you, Helen, and thank you very much to us. We look forward very much to meeting in person.
Yes.
Once we're all allowed out again.
Yes, I think we're all looking forward to that, aren't we? Yeah, definitely.
And thank you to everyone who's joined us for this session today. There are more motivation and isolation events, so do go and have a look at the Eventbrite page where you joined up for this link today, and do let your friends, family, colleagues know that there's lots of events happening. They are all free, so please do feel free to come and join them. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.